This killer accidentally gave himself away on live TV. Imagine the guy being interviewed about a local murder turns out to be the actual murderer. It was a gorgeous summer in 2011 in Georgia. Lauren Giddings was a beautiful 27-year-old student living in Macon. She went to church, she was super sporty, she was really popular with the girls and the guys. She was the eldest of 3 sisters and had an adorable little dog called Butterbean. She was incredibly intelligent and she wanted to start a career in law. Another student living in the area was Stephen McDaniel. Now, he was far less popular and intelligent than Lauren. In fact, he was more of a social outcast. He mostly kept himself to himself, but he did have a bit of a disturbing obsession with swords and weapons. Sadly, it wasn't his only obsession. Now, Lauren and Stephen did know each other. They'd previously attended class together, and Stephen became fixated on her. The pair lived in nearby apartments, and Stephen would kind of watch her out of the corner of his eye sometimes and even plucked up the courage to ask Lauren out. But Lauren declined his advances. She was always polite about this, but she said she did have a boyfriend, but he kept continuously asking her out and she kept having to say no. But he would just not take no for an answer. He became fixated on stalking her social media accounts and chillingly watching her through the curtain of his home. He would spy on her as she came in and out of her apartment, and the idea of that just gives me chills. Like, imagine just not realizing that somebody's literally spying on you. Then things took an even more sinister and terrifying turn. He became so obsessed with Lauren that he actually created a contraption to enable him to record her through the window. He attached a camera to a stick to enable him to film her and then rewatch it back after. And Lauren was an intelligent girl. Like I said, she did kind of get an eerie feeling about Stephen. She was pretty security conscious and she was just getting this uncomfortable gut feeling. She even told her friends that she felt she was being watched. By the time they all realized she was right, she was being watched, it was far too late. On Friday the 24th of June, Lauren went to a local bar with her friends to have some drinks. She'd actually been getting to know an older guy called David and they really liked each other. They just were kind of like rekindling something, and Lauren had split with her boyfriend Joe, from what I understand. But she was still kind of friends with Joe. They were still on good terms, and as I said, they'd only recently broke up, so I think she stayed at his house that night. The next day, she left his house to go to a country club for the day. Nothing seemed off at all. For on the 29th of June, Lauren's sisters had a really bad feeling. Suddenly, Lauren had kind of just dropped off the face of the earth. She just wasn't like contacting them. She wasn't texting them back, calling them back. Her friend Ashley also had a really bad feeling about this and had a spare key. So Ashley and Ashley's boyfriend headed over to Lauren's apartment just to check things out, see if she was in there. But Lauren wasn't inside, and her belongings were, like her bag, her ID, her purse with her money. And Ashley just said she felt like she had this sinking gut feeling that something was really wrong. Now, soon the news was spreading fast of the stunning missing student, and local media began to get interested. Meanwhile, local students were offering to help look for Lauren, including Stephen McDaniel. He seemed concerned like everybody else did. Police searched Lauren's laptop inside of her apartment and they found something chilling. She'd sent David an email saying that she was really worried because somebody had been trying to break into her flat. As the investigation continued, as I said, the local TV stations were there pitching up and interviewing people, including Stephen. He really came across as quite nervous, but maybe he was just nervous for being on TV. He repeatedly stated that nobody knows anything or knows where she is. Then the interviewer dropped an absolute bombshell. She said Lauren's body had in fact been found. And Stephen at this news appeared totally stunned and he just acted very, very strange. He said he needed to go and sit down. Now, interestingly though, throughout the interview, he'd been referring to Lauren in the past tense. And a lot of people feel that when people do this in interviews, that means they know that person is no longer alive. Tragically, Lauren's torso had been found in bin bags in a bin on campus. This was clearly a brutal homicide. Now, terrifyingly, a hacksaw that still had blood on it was found in the communal laundry room. It kind of felt like somebody had tried to wash the blood off, but done a really quick job of this and had not got all of the blood off. And because of how odd he was acting, Stephen's apartment did get searched by police, and they found some damning evidence. Not only was he totally acting like nervous and sweaty and just really suspicious, they found Lauren's underwear in his flat. As if that wasn't bad enough, they also found a key that fit Lauren's apartment and the packaging for that very same hacksaw they'd found. They also found hundreds of videos that Stephen had made of Lauren using his homemade contraption. It transpired that at 4:30 a.m. on June the 26th, Stephen had used the key to enter Lauren's apartment. He wore a mask and gloves and choked her to death. He dismembered her and then discarded her remains on the campus grounds. He ended up pleading guilty. Ultimately, there was just so much evidence against him, and he will be eligible for parole in 2041.